More than enough people. I'd like to call the meeting to order. How's everybody? Welcome to January. See you every 2 weeks till May or so, April. Thank you. So Govenda, you should have had an opportunity in Govenda to see everything. I've been taking attendance, as has Steve, so I don't need to really worry about that. The next item on the agenda would be public participation.
No one is online, Mr. Chairman.
No one's online, no one here. That's not part of the board. Very good. So we have a number of town hall budgets to look through, and typically would ask for a report from a member of the town hall subcommittee, or the chair, or whomever is available to talk, and that is
That would be Dawn.
Christian, Dawn, and Evan.
Christian and Dawn.
Evan will be here about 4 or 5 minutes from now.
Okay.
If you don't
I
have,
guess- I guess
if you don't have it, we didn't get minutes, right, Steve?
No, the scribe just completed the minutes today.
But no.
No, you did not get them.
Okay.
So basically, we reviewed all the budgets that were presented. Steve and Kevin provided the information to answer the questions that we had. We had no significant issues with any of the budgets. If I remember correctly, Steve, it was about a 1%.
We did the whole breadth of budgets when we met. So it was about a little less than 1% of an increase over last year. But what you're hearing tonight is an actual reduction of 0.21%.
Okay,
Because of
First half.
because of a recent half.
okay, great. And the only area that we did have, we did question was the fees for, was it the building inspector?
Fees for the Board of Appeals.
The Board of Appeals.
And
And,
they have not kept up with times, in my humble opinion.
okay,
So we'll be looking at that, and that will probably require a town meeting vote, and we might look to have that this spring.
Okay.
so outside of that, we're comfortable with all budgets, so. And I believe they already went to town council.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, tonight's budgets.
Yeah, and Evan did speak at the town council meeting for the subcommittee.
Christian, anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. The fees was the main point that we wanted to bring up tonight.
And would you say, Steve, that's a possibility to look at and
Yeah, we have an article
Town
that
meeting?
I'd like to, I'll present to the town council to see if they will support that at town meeting.
So just a question, Steve. Fees are ordained, I guess, in bylaws, and that's why you have to go to town meetings?
Yeah,
Okay, that's,
sorry.
now, does he have to wait?
No, it's not like a zoning where there's an opinion on it. It's just posting, and it's the vote of the legislative body to do it. I wish I could change Tom Mullen's mind on that too, would be nice.
All right, so in reviewing these budgets tonight then, Steve, we'll start right down the list. Is Kevin doing?
I think Kevin's gonna do it, but before we do our start, Kevin, do you want to introduce Liz, or do you want me to do it?
Why don't you do it? You're there. It'll
Okay.
be easier.
So I'm thrilled to, as part of our restructuring and succession plan here is to welcome Liz Rourke. She comes with a great wealth of experience from not only Somerville, North Reading, Hopkinton, and Concord. She also has a great, not only a great knowledge of accounting, particularly municipal accounting, but also a great knowledge of the munis system, which she was telling me she was even handling in Somerville.
You bet she will.
Years ago. So that is really going to be a great help to us, and you'll see how that affects us going down the road. But she started, January 6th?
Yes, last Monday.
And has hit the ground running and is already telling Kevin and I ways that we should have been doing things. So it's worked out very well.
No.
But we're thrilled to have her.
I'm happy to be here. Welcome.
Wonderful. If you don't mind, would you just say hello, go around the room, starting with Lori? We'll do the table and then those, introduce yourselves, please.
Lori Wheeler, been on and off the FinCom over like 12 or 15 years. Welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to be here.
Christian Jensen, we met
Yeah.
last week at Town Hall. I'm very new to this committee. This is my second, I guess, full meeting, so.
Liz knows me.
Ellie Zuccaro. I think I'm going into year 2.
Nice to meet
John Ravenel, we met a
Virtual.
subcommittee
Yeah.
meeting.
Jim Sullivan, Chair of the committee, I don't know, 11 years or so. It's been good. Looking forward to having you be part of it. It's always free discussion in this room, it seems, that we have some good debates and nobody throws anything, but sometimes two sides of the table don't agree. That's why we're here.
Mhm.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Stefan Chase. I've been on the committee now for, I think, a little over 5 years. Would be great to see what other data, if any, can be spat out of Munis.
Yeah.
For like further analysis.
For sure. Nice to meet you.
Amy Forsyth. I'm also, I think, going on 5 years now.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Bill Boudry. This is my second tour of duty in the FinCom, and I think this is like my 8th year,
Okay.
the two combined.
Great.
Thanks. Dennis?
The old man of the group, been on about 26 years, I guess. Well retired by now, but enjoying this group, and I intend to stay for, at least finish this term out. It'll get me up to 50 years of service, so I'm hoping to be able to make it.
Nice to meet you.
So aren't we. Hooray?
Yeah, how do I beat that? Teray, I've been on, Dennis is great. I've been on FinCom for, I think, almost 5 years now.
Nice to
Welcome.
meet you.
Thank you. And Brian?
Hi, Brian Cusack. I've been on about 15 years. It's going to be hard, of course, to replace Kevin, but we have great faith that you will do a great job.
Thank you.
Very good. Kevin, working remote. Glad to see it.
Glad to be here.
Dan Sherman is remote.
This is Dan.
Sorry, I didn't
Yep,
see
I'm
you.
remote.
My apologies, Dan. Go ahead.
I don't know how many years I've been on. I think maybe 25. I don't know, a lot. But yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. I thought I recognized that number, Dan.
Sorry about that. I just didn't see it on the screen, Dan.
No, it's because it's a phone number.
Very good.
That's okay.
Nobody else on, right? No Joe and no Evan.
No.
Yep. Great. All right, thank you. All right, first budget, legal department, correct?
Sure.
Thanks, Kevin.
As Steve has mentioned, starting off with the first group of budgets, tonight we're going to listen to, I'll go over 11 of the smaller town hall budgets. In total, these 11 budgets are down a little over $3,000 or 0.2%. First budget we'll talk about tonight is the legal budget. We're recommending that this budget be decreased $1,052 over the current fiscal year. There is an increase in personal services, $3,948, which is for a negotiated salary increase of 3%. We also decreased the professional services line item based on prior year usage by $10,000. And we increased the materials and supplies, the books and publication line item, which is used to upkeep the town's legal library. Total budget request for fiscal 2026 is $205,100.
You, any questions?
Yeah.
Dennis.
Dennis, go ahead, sir.
Under contractual services, we historically haven't been coming close, and I see that's why you reduced it by 10,000. Why aren't we going a little deeper into that? Do we have anything envisioned?
Sure. What you don't see on the budget here is between fiscal 2019 and 2022, we actually did have to do reserve fund transfers to this budget. In fiscal 2022, we had to do a reserve fund transfer of $82,500. In fiscal 21, $50,000. In fiscal 20, $38,850. And in fiscal 2019, $143,300. And the last 2 years have been abnormally low for this budget. But due to that, we were thinking that, yeah, we could decrease it $10,000 to be on the safe side. It did come up Monday night that there is some concern about one item going forward with regards to potential litigation. So we decided to keep it at that 10,000 reduction and not to go further.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think looking at page 1 and then page 2, I think there's a difference. On page
Yeah.
1, it's just
Yeah,
50,000.
there was a typo on page
Okay.
2. That should be 50,000 on page 2.
That's the, sorry, the contractual services section.
The professional.
Professional.
Professional service.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Question, Jim.
Good.
So of course, this is for specialized legal counsel for any type of unusual circumstances that come up. How about labor counsel? Do you do all your labor negotiations?
We do a lot of it.
in-house?
We do a lot of it in-house. I have some professional services in my budget as well, and labor would also go here. So for union issues and grievances, particularly involving civil service, I put those out because that's such a specialty. But we haven't had a lot, and so we're comfortable where we are.
That's good.
Land use is the big issue. You know, that was the big issues we talked in 2019. That was the, issue of the alleged, I always say alleged removal of the old junior high.
Yeah, Butler Ave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have asked this at our subcommittee meeting, but Kevin, the materials and supplies for the legal library, is that
Sure.
hard copy or is that electronic?
Both.
Both?
Both.
Okay.
A lot of the hard copy is upstairs in the, you might have seen it in my office in the second floor conference room, so. But it is our stuff. It's the town council's, the town of Wakefield's library.
Anything else on legal? Very good, Kev. Next is tax collecting department.
Yes, tax collectors department recommending an increase to this budget of $10,473. This increase breaks down $5,240 to the tax levy and $5,233 to a water and sewer transfer. The increase in personal services is $3,570, which is for contractual and negotiated increases. As you remember that at the November town meeting, we did finish and settle the clerical contract. So that is all included in all the budgets here tonight and going forward. Under contractual services, there are some increases totaling $1,650. We increased advertising $1,150 due to a change in the tax title law. We're required to advertise now in 8 different languages. And we also increased the postage $500 due to increased costs. Main expenses within this budget, printing and binding, $6,420, which is used to print the preliminary and actual tax bills. $4,850 under professional services, which is for instruments of taking during the tax title process. The big one is postage. This is used to mail approximately 67,000 tax bills. The total budget request for fiscal 26 is $328,107, with $260,502 coming from the tax levy and $67,605 coming from a water and sewer transfer.
Questions?
I raised my hand.
Sorry, who's that?
Brian.
What happened to Brian?
I
He's
even
no
raised it
longer-
like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, you're not visible anymore. I lost you.
Yes,
Go
you
ahead.
did. I have to know, Kevin, what are the 8 languages?
That's a good question. I didn't get all 8.
Okay.
What's that? Sorry.
For all 8
You
language.
have to, in 8 languages, yeah.
Uh,
And they lowered our interest that we can get later on too.
So I did look at my only comment was the clerical, so the increase for the 2 clerks is like 3.89%. That's what's to be expected for other
Yeah,
clerical staff.
depending on where they were on the scale.
Yeah, these 2 might have been on the same,
They are different, they're on different levels.
tracks a little.
On the overtime, I didn't see any mid-year expense for overtime. I see 10,000, but I didn't, is that included?
The mid-year, they hit that the mid-year expense is right around there. It's right around mid-year for that. Although there is more of it getting out the tax bills.
Right.
You know, I think they were here pretty late getting them out before the end of the year and got to be printed and everything. And there's always an issue with munis, but next year there won't be, so.
And the expense for the water bills, printing from
Yeah.
F and DPW?
Yeah.
And that's where the split is from clerical staff, the enterprises.
Yes. Yes,
That's correct. Yes.
correct, yes.
Anybody else?
I know I mentioned this before, but for you had mentioned there was like 37,000 tax bills that are printed out.
Yeah.
Each year. Is there any potential for digitizing those? Emailing?
Well, I think here's the thing, here's how I understand it, is that even if you opt in, you say, I want to get an email, we still are obligated to send it out because of the state. I'd love to see it, but that's everything I've learned on it.
It's same.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I'm
Especially
guessing that has to do with the fact that you can't guarantee that everybody has a computer and or email. right?
Email, yeah.
But the tax bills are available online.
Yeah.
That if you go to the online payment center, that you can pay your bill online, you can view your bill online, and you can actually print it out online also.
We still have to send it.
That's through the state's requirements, is it?
Yeah, legally.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, Kevin.
Next budget is the assessors budget. We're recommending that this budget be increased $6,385 for fiscal 26. This increase is all in personal services and is for contractual and negotiated increases for all personnel. Linfield, which is part of the shared services for the assessor director. We share Victor's services with Reading and Linfield. Linfield has agreed to kick in an extra $5,000 next year. That's included in this budget. Main expenses within this budget under contractual services, the professional services line item, $21,600, which is used mainly for outside appraisal services, outside personal property services, and expert witnesses at ATB cases as needed. Total budget request for fiscal 26 is $271,657.
Yes.
So I think we ask you this every year. What's the split with Victor?
It's right now, it's basically a third each.
30 each, okay. At the end of the day, retirement day, Wakefield owns.
No,
No, that would be split also.
that's split off.
That will be split. Thank you.
Town of Linfield has some weird assessing.
Yes, they do. They have a third classification hearing for the water district. So we actually increased their piece of the pie in this new deal by $5,000 because it is taking more time.
This time.
It's a smaller number of bills, smaller number of, I guess, abatements and things like that because it's a small community, but that's taken a bit more time. I think it's a little unusual. It's a good way to put it. But it
else?
really worked out great. I mean, we saved a ton of money by doing it that way.
What's Victor think?
Victor's great, loves it. He's doing good, yeah.
Yeah, good. Anybody else? Questions?
Just a comment. So the sharing of Victor's between Reading and Linfield, so that about a third of his cost is being split between all of the communities. That also includes retirement benefits and
Retirement, health, workers' comp, everything. Life insurance,
All right, Kevin.
Medicare, all those costs.
Next budget is the town clerk's budget. This was the one budget on Monday night that the town council did do a small reduction. They reduced it by $700. But overall, we are recommending that this budget be increased $5,082 over the current fiscal year. There's an increase in personal services, $8,282, which is for negotiated and contractual increases. On the expense portion of this budget, we decreased a couple line items. We decreased printing and binding $1,000. We decreased postage $1,500. The reason for that was because we did bump that up last year because of the presidential election. There's no presidential election next year, so we did reduce that for fiscal 26. Town council also reduced the supply line item $700 based on prior year usage. Main expenses within this budget is the printing and binding line item, $13,000, which is used to print town bylaws, code books, dog licenses, and it's also used to bind old birth, death, and marriage certificates. The total budget request for fiscal 26 is $269,562. Did want to point out that we do collect money over the counter down in the town clerk's office. We bring in approximately $70,000 a year over the counter in that department.
Questions on town clerk?
Sorry, quick question. Kevin, what was the rationale given for docking these different parts of the budget? Like, did they just say it's been too high historically and here we are, or was there something else afoot?
Which one, by the town council, that reduction?
Right.
They just reduced one line item, the reproducing supplies. It was $700. They moved it down to zero over the past several years. There hasn't been anything expended out of there. And they also have a $2,000 office supply line item, which would be basically used to cover anything that they need. So town council reduced that line item to zero or $700.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Next.
Next budget is the election and registration budget. We're recommending that this budget be decreased $3,500 over the current fiscal year. Under the expense portion, we decreased postage by $3,000 and we decreased street lists by $500. Again, no presidential election next year, and those were bumped up in the current year's budget. Under main expenses within this budget, personal services, $17,100, which is used for the census workers. Under contractual services, there's a professional services line item, $12,000, which is used mainly for a company called LHS, which helps us with the mailing of the census, the printing of ballots as needed, and the maintenance on the voting machines. The total budget request for fiscal 26 is $38,800.
Questions? Ed?
Curious, has the clerk applied for any extended polling reimbursement from the state?
Yes. She mentioned, I think she's expecting, or she submitted approximately $15,000 in reimbursements from the state.
Very good, thanks. Anyone else?
So on professional services under contractual services,
Yes.
it looks like the actual expenditures are quite a bit more than the budget request.
Right. What we are for both the town clerk and this budget here, we probably will be looking for a small reserve fund transfer at the end of the year. And that, a lot of that will be covered by that reimbursement that's going to be coming in from the state. But where that money that comes in from the state will go in right into the general fund. The overages within this budget and the town clerk's budget we will need a reserve fund transfer to cover that. But it's basically a wash because the reimbursement will come in from the state.
That clear? Good. Anyone else? Did somebody else just join?
I think that was,
Yes, Dan.
that was Dan.
Very good. Welcome back, Dan.
Yeah, I lost the signal. I'm back.
I thought you were on the snowmobile and got off.
No, actually, I'm in Muskegon, Michigan.
Okay. Is it warm?
Warmer than there.
Okay, I'll take it. Kevin, go ahead. Next, please.
Next budget is the election expense budget. This budget, we are requesting a decrease in this budget of $26,450 over the current fiscal year. This decrease is based on the reduced number of elections for next year. In the current fiscal year, we have 3 elections, and for next year, we only anticipate 1 election, the town election. So therefore, we are able to reduce this budget by that amount. Main expenses within this budget, the election workers, which is line item for $6,600, which is for the wardens, clerks, and tellers. The advertising line item, $4,000, and the care of boots, $3,300. The total budget request for fiscal 26 is $13,900.
Any questions? Very good. Next.
Next budget is the Finance Committee's budget. We're recommending level funding. We did move some funds around in this budget. Under the contractual services, we decreased the recommendation book line item by $500. The recommendation book is done in-house, and we are able to control those costs a little bit, so we felt comfortable reducing that. We increased office supplies $100. We also increased the dues and publications, dues and memberships by $400. This line item is used to pay for the MMA dues for the Finance Committee and their members, and for membership in the Association of Town Finance Committees. The total recommendation for fiscal 26 is $7,060.
Questions on that?
I'm not gonna eat tonight anyway.
Okay, next.
Next budget is the Conservation Commission budget. We are recommending that this budget be increased $2,300 over the current fiscal year. This increase is all in personal services, $2,300, which is for a 3% increase for 1 full-time and 1 part-time agent. The full-time agent works 30 hours a week, and the part-time agent works 5 hours a week. This budget is also offset by available funds, which are the wetland filing fees, and that will be level again at $4,500. Total budget request for fiscal 26 is $87,468, with $82,968 coming from the tax levy and $4,500 from available funds.
Questions? On.
The filing fees aren't listed here. I think in the zoning board of appeals, on one of the pages, we had listed the fees. Are those considered part of what we would review also? Or are those set by the state or whoever?
Wetlands filing fees? Oh, when we relook at our fees? I'll look at them. I hadn't really considered them. It's so minor, but I'll take a look at them. They're not state, I don't think. I don't think they're state. I'll check on those. Thank you.
Yeah, you might need a local bylaw.
Well, they are working on a local, the Conservation Commission is working on a wetlands bylaw.
I just had a question on the year-to-date for personal services is at 29,700. Is that, was somebody hired like mid-year or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We just hired the full-time agent. They didn't start right at the beginning of the year, so that is a little bit low, so.
And,
But
This was the one that was approved at town meeting.
correct.
so last year we had, some disagreement between the body and management. In which way did it end up? It ended up with the full-time position
Yes.
versus
Versus the part-time
suggested part-time. So there's a full-time person and a
and a
part-time.
5-hour part-time.
Yeah.
What was part-time defined as last year? Was it half-time? 19 hours? And then we went from 19 to 40-ish.
You went
19 to 30.
19 to 30, and then the person that had, and then we have a 5-hour position. Now, that person was looking to ratchet down anyway because of their own personal situations. Works out good.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Kevin,
Next budget is the planning board budget. We are recommended level funding. Main expenses within this budget, the cost of the clerk, $4,800. This is for 2 meetings a month at $200. The cost of advertising, $3,000, which is used for meetings, posting of meetings and any bylaw changes. We do collect some revenue within this department. Fiscal year to date, we've collected $7,300. The past prior fiscal years, between $4,500 and $5,000 each of those 2 years. Total budget request for fiscal 26 is $10,755.
questions on that? Seeing none. EBA.
Next budget is the Board of Appeals. We're recommending that this budget be increased $700 for fiscal 26. Main expenses for this budget is the cost of their hearings. Each hearing costs approximately $614, and we base this budget on 50 hearings a year. So for fiscal 26, we're recommending a budget of $31,000. We do collect revenue within this department. Over the past 4 fiscal years, on average, we collect about $35,000 a year.
Ed,
Kevin, what's the revenue year to date?
Revenue year to date is $7,200.
Oh, we're behind past performance then.
Correct.
Now, is that a result? Is development sort of petering down right now, or you know, wow?
Yeah, it's tough that, the head of the lake comes on and you get a big spike one year, but those hearings may lapse over into the next fiscal year. So a lot of times you really have to look at the averages over the course of several years to get a true picture.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is the interest rate environment or whatnot slowing down any development action in the town? I mean, plenty of plans out there.
Saying the receipts are down.
Yeah, receipts are down.
Yeah.
At the Board of Appeals, are also, we had a banner year last year in building because the head of the lake was a huge check, right? We're running we'll do that budget next time, but I think building is about, is it 400,000 so far?
Yeah, I think
Which is historically very good in fees.
right.
So we're
Right.
kicking along.
Yeah, so the building permit fees in particular is,
Right.
that's going to be big. So it'd be good to analyze how we recovering costs and building permit fees.
Yeah, well, that's going to get cash cow. And we seem to be getting, just anecdotally, a lot of rehab stuff. So there is no hearing. There is no Board of Appeals hearing on that.
Yeah.
So it seems to be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it's
Another-
small property owners and
Exactly.
large developers.
Exactly.
You want to
Yeah.
be able to capture large developments in particular.
Are you concerned that the large developers will hold off because rates are staying high?
That's what I'm asking because I'm seeing that Somerville right now.
And they're going to stay high stay where they are. I don't even want to say high,
Yes.
because it's not really historically
Higher
bad.
for longer.
Yeah, higher for longer, but it's not historically bad.
Closer to a norm.
Yeah. Right. I mean, a lot of us old people, we had mortgages in the teens, right, when we started.
Right. Make it 12% in the money market.
Yeah.
Mortgage was 16, 17. Thought it was doing good.
Yeah.
I had to spend it. All right, Board of Appeals, any other questions? Good.
Last budget is the Council on Aging budget. We're recommending that this budget be increased $8,228 over the current fiscal year. This increase is all in personal services and is for contractual and negotiated increases. On the expense portion of this budget, it is level funded. There are several small changes within various line items. We reduced the oil and additives, which is the gas for the senior center vans, by $2,300. And we use that to increase the motor vehicle parts line item, $1,450, and also the tire line item to $850. Total budget request for fiscal 26 is $298,626.
Questions? Ed?
You have two vans, correct? I'm just trying to remember.
Yes.
That's correct.
And would you say services, required services about the same, year over year?
I think they're expanding services.
Yeah.
And expanding usage and, the extra space there will really help out a lot.
Mhm.
The vans are very popular. There's the population is aging a little bit. And in fact, we're redoing our aging friendly community or friendly aging community plan that we did a few years ago. We're starting to relook at that again. So, yeah, I can see this area as one that this service will increase over time, in my opinion.
And Steve, one of the things we discussed at the meeting was that the van drivers are pretty much retired.
Yeah, they're mainly retired firefighters, and they're not getting any benefits. Obviously, they're already getting them through nothing extra. But what's great about that is that they know all the streets in town. They know a lot of the people. They know first aid. So it actually works out very well. And they really enjoy it, the ones that I've talked to. So it's worked out very well.
Great. Anybody else? Seeing none. Kevin, that completes your portion, I think.
Yes, it does.
You're not excused, I'm just letting you know.
Before we move on, Mr. Chairman, can I just give a little bit of our philosophy on budgeting is that, as you notice, we do look at trends, but the way it starts is that Kevin and Liz send out the budget to the department heads and they are instructed, put in your contractual obligations, all right? Level fund all your expenses to start. We're going to look to either go down on them when we look at trends, or things happen and we will look at increasing them. It could be that oil spiked, gasoline spiked, things like that, and we look at those. So we look at trends over a few years. We have kind of told our department heads, don't spend everything at the end of the year. You're not going to lose it in materials and supplies. We're going to look at trends. Nothing would make me angrier than seeing all this copy paper come in at the end of the fiscal year because I don't want to lose the money that'll sit there, or paper clips or things like that. So I think the department heads do a really good job and they understand that. And I think we've had very good budgets because of that in that area over the years. And then they can blame the contractual stuff on me.
The level fund message, though, that's not a message every year, is it?
Every year.
Oh, it has been?
Yeah, it has been
Okay.
every year. Yeah. Yeah. And they'll come to us. I mean, of course, elections, we got luck. This is the lucky year in elections, right? We don't have the elections. We're gonna get the benefits there budgetarily from that. So, but that's every year, the message every year.
So the summary sheet that's provided through Kevin Yu, so after the change, negative 0.21.
Negative 0.21.
All the budgets we just looked at today. And that is on Govenda as well. Well, that's on Govenda. right, well, thank you. Anything else on that? Just a couple more items. We have meeting minutes of 11/7/2024 last fall to review and approve.
Move to accept?
Move to accept. Bill, second?
Second.
By Ed. Amy? Discussions? Comments? Hearing none. Entertain a motion. Sorry, somebody else speaking up? Dan? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Dan abstains.
Thank you. Did you get that?
I got it.
Okay.
Not there.
He wasn't there.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Committee comments? Anybody have anything they would like to bring up? The only thing I would say, well, two things. I did make a slight adjustment on the subcommittees. Brian and Stefan swapped roles on IT. Stefan's going to be the IT chair and Brian's not going to be the chair on the IT. I'll send that out either tonight or tomorrow. I updated that, spoke to the individuals. Brian's the chair of the school committee, and he and I had a conversation, the school budget, and had a conversation about that. Made good sense. So if you see anything you think is out of whack, don't hesitate to give us a call. Give me a call and or bring it up. So that'll go out, and that was the only minor change. And as far as subcommittees go, obviously that is the place for us as the team to really dig in and spend some time on it. Encourage you to do your best to make the meetings, sometimes during the day and sometimes at other times, but do your best to make the meetings, as I know you all do. And we appreciate it. And then we can go to town meeting with being comfortable that we've looked at it and be able to stand by it when I get up there and say my one sentence.
And if I might, Mr. Chairman, when you do get the minutes, when you do the minutes for the subcommittee meetings, if you send them to me, I can make sure they get on your agenda here. We can vote it, so we keep.
Correct. They should always go to Steve and CC myself, just so I see the transaction.
Sherry too.
Or Sherry too, and then we'll put it,
Yep.
go in Govender, everyone can see it. I don't know, the clerk for the town hall budget committee, he's terrible and didn't get them done until today, so.
Mhm.
They're probably in Govender now.
Yeah, typically the chair of the subcommittee should do the minutes and not other people, just my humble opinion. So, anything else? I try to do my subcommittee minutes. Let me say that. What was that? Go ahead.
Yeah, so, quick question. Do we have any idea when we might see the school committee come in and give us a preliminary idea on where the school budget might be?
Not yet, said Brian.
Not yet, said Jim. I know Steve has talked to them. I've had one conversation with Doug Lyons, but nothing formal. I'm trying to work, Brian and I are trying to work with the school to maybe have a different kind of session where we can sit down and dig into the budget and maybe more depth together, whether it's a meeting or maybe a workshop or something, and maybe help boil out some concerns, some points, things like that. It was received with mediocre thoughts, but it's being pushed by the finance committee. So we'll see what happens. Laurie.
Relates to
Thank you.
schools. Last year, I mean, having done it way back, the book is like, it's a encyclopedia now, which is good because you have all the data if you want to drill back to the data. But is there an ability for them to create an exec summary that the FinCom can hone in on? Or do you think that's duplicating work, duplicating efforts? Do you think it's worth it? Like
We can ask.
I felt like there was a lot of data points in there that I went through that whole book cover to cover,
Yeah.
as I'm sure many of us did, but there was a lot of stuff in there that we don't need. Or that was.
Yeah, and I think, so they have provided Excel files in recent times, which can be helpful, but it's still a component or a part of the book.
Yeah.
So.
I would rely on the committee.
Yeah, well,
meeting with them too. If they think that's
Listen,
not
the rest of
useful.
us, I'm on the subcommittee as well. We can certainly, Ellie, we can ask and, we're hoping, anyway, to maybe have enough time and collaboration to really get a better understanding of obviously, what the expenses are, what the revenue sources are, how the revenue sources get used, what they do with the money at the end of the year, the grants, just trying to make sure we're as educated as we can be for the time that we spend on it. So at least that was my thought.
So maybe Kevin, is there any reason why we can't get a December 31st munis report of expenditures to date in the school department? We don't need to wait for the school to meet with the group. I'm sure that's available now, correct?
Yes, it is.
Could you send that to the subcommittee? I'm on the subcommittee this year, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So what I have done, and you can do, is in the packet for the schools, either late in the month, the second meeting in the month, there's financials there from the previous periods.
Right.
So in January, the second meeting in January, their packet will have a financial summary. And that summary is 4 pages. And I'll send that because I usually go get that and look at it. And I'm not saying that's all munis, but that is a bit of an executive summary to me. And I can reshare that, Ed, but I don't know if munis, well, you know munis so well, maybe that's more helpful to you.
Yeah, I can
Oh, it's
run it on
gonna be
demand.
there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
that's the type of detail that we need to see,
Yeah.
and that's been the issue, I think, sometimes with the school department here. Find that.
Yeah, and I intended to start sending it out to, and again, it's available. You just go in, you got to dig down far enough. You go to the school committee and then the school department or something, and you find the packet and there it is. And you print 5 pages out of the 80. And then I am it's a good read because it gives you how it's going to date. So
Now, the ledger report, the school department, will that show transfers as well amongst the private account?
Well, and that's my concern. If I provided you with the school numbers out of munis, I wouldn't know if all their transfers are done. If the school can provide the information out of munis, and therefore they would have to look at it to make sure whatever transfers that they needed to do were complete before you got the information. So if I gave them to you, I wouldn't know that, but they would. So that's why I'd prefer that information be provided by the school department.
Okay, because it's not necessarily up to date. And accurate.
Exactly. So
I get it.
yeah, in the packet summary, I don't think it has transfers yet. I don't recall, but I don't have a sample with me, but I don't know that it has. We can look.
Yeah, school departments tend to liberally transfer money.
Oh, yeah, they have that authority.
Yeah.
But Dan, I think rest assured, as they do every year, the wish list is substantial and much larger than likely the town can support. And we'll see how it's getting whittled down.
Yeah, that is their MO.
Yep. Good. So schools, so the other thing is the schedule. I set the schedule out to everybody. Schools are coming in late in the cycle, as always is the case, usually twice. I hope there's twice on there. I didn't look that closely at it, but
Add 'em. You can add them when you want.
I think I only saw one, Jim, for what
I
it's
think there's
worth.
only one, but that's the
They're
kind of
only
the
on-
real budget.
yeah, so we'll put in a preliminary, we'll look at, Brian and I look at that, or Brian can give it some thought. And
Not on until April 17th.
yeah, we usually bring them in late Feb, mid-late Feb. I can look at what we did last year.
Hey, Jim, if we do that workshop where we dive deep into the budget, do you think we could get like donuts and coffee?
I was thinking pizza and beer, but we could go either way.
That works.
That for you.
Yep. So the pizza and beer was a hit then. Very good.
One there.
All right.
One quick
Anybody
little,
else? Yep.
yep, just, when would we get an update on the high school and the bonding and funding and all that fun stuff?
I can do that.
Anytime?
Anytime you want.
Next meeting, you want to bring it?
I can do that.
Good. It'd be good to get up to date. I feel like I'm a little out of the loop on that one, and it'd be good to see where we are and.
Yep.
That's good. That'd be great. Thanks.
And just a side note to that point, I got my tax bill and I called the manager and was wondering how much money is in there for the schools, obviously the Galvin and the high school.
Not that much.
And it tells me there's not that much. I was not happy with that.
That's, yeah, I know, he didn't like that answer.
Not what I expected.
Not exactly.
I told him, his house went way up in value though. It was a
Great.
problem.
It only matters.
Unrealized
Sell.
gains almost.
Next year there'll be more.
Anybody else?
I have one thing.
Yes.
Dan, are you still with us?
Yep,
Um,
I am.
Okay, great. I'm going to the MMA next week. Traditionally, is when we'll get the governor's House One budget. Traditionally, I'm not having high hopes this year. I don't know if anybody is different than my opinion is. I'm even concerned with some of the rhetoric coming out of there. I think that there'll be a lot spent on items that aren't cities and towns. But I'll get that. Also hearing that the GIC looks grim with increases between 8.5% and 10.5% based on wherever, what you're in there. So that, I'm worried about that. The GIC has a $101 million deficit through November of '24. I don't know where that is going to come from. State may have to help out there. I'm also concerned with, I'm full of good news tonight.
Where's the good news?
I know. Concerned with rhetoric coming out of the state that the millionaires tax is going to be, they're looking to split that more towards transportation. Great goal, but less towards education. So Dan, when I get back from there, we'll have a wake over the local aid and we'll have a forecast meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, or maybe we need is a seance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
The GIC is the health insurance.
that's the house insurance. That's been really good. I mean, over its long term, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been really great for a long term. And this news on the 8.5 or 9 or 10 is not new news because Kevin gave me a heads up that was a possibility a few months ago.
It's not just the GIC plans, it's all the health plans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's healthcare in general, yeah.
In general. And I was doing some reading and I was very frustrated with the millionaires tax. I just feel like it's been, and this is an editorial, I just feel like it was, sold as education and transportation. So that would be like roads and bridges and schools. And what do we have last year? We have free tuition at all community colleges. Wonderful thing, but didn't seem like a lot went to schools. And now this year, we're going to bail out the MBTA. I don't see a lot of bridges getting fixed in those numbers.
I think the school lunches also came out of that.
The school lunch, yeah, the free lunches.
Free lunches.
Yep.
yeah.
That's another area of angst.
Yeah, it's,
To tell you the truth.
I just feel like the town supports, most towns support the school budget so substantially. It's just so lopsided when it comes to the funds from the state
And
and editorial.
And the issue with the school lunches is that, and Kevin and I have had a number of meetings with the school department, really talking about those revolving accounts and that all expenses should be charged to the revolving accounts, including school lunches, okay? And you should charge back a lot of things that go with that. Well, the state reimburses school lunches at $4.50 a meal to the town of Wakefield. And I don't know if that's the same in Somerville, and I don't know where the number comes from, but it seems to me there's not a lot of give and take about, what is the best, what is the actual price of that? How can we do that? Is that including everything? Is it not including anything? You can have the socioeconomic justice, conversation after we can do the math. So it's an interesting dynamic. But it was easy, anybody could do it, right? You guys have been.
So as of right now, do we know how much, so it's reimbursing $450? Do we know what it is actually costing?
Yeah, that's the question.
Versus,
Yeah.
I know the chargebacks aren't all there, but,
Well, that's the question, that I would put all the chargebacks there.
right?
So that's what we've been working with the school department on. How much of your time as a superintendent is spent on school lunches? I mean, some positions are easy, right? Like the Food service director, easy, right? School superintendent, deputy, custodial, electricity, we try to look at all of those things.
Yeah. Is there a reluctance to do it?
I have found over the years that there is a reluctance to do it, yes. Okay.
Interesting to see it upside down, which on this would be a good exercise to see if you're
It is.
upside down without.
And like
Right.
Stefan asked on the assessors, do you charge back, Medicare, health insurance, things like that, retirement? Yes, and I know that Kevin's made great headway, particularly in the retirement area, I think, on that, to make sure that that should be all part of that service and viewed that way.
Normally on
great-
that,
This is a great opportunity to see if that new chair of the school subcommittee knows what he's doing.
We have great faith.
That's it.
but normally on something like that, you calculate some type of overhead percentage and you just allocate an overhead percent, right?
Right, but
But is that being done?
Right,
we do it.
yeah.
You saw it tonight. We have a clerk in the tax collector's office that really mainly handles water and sewer.
Right.
And that's the transfer there. You saw that, so.
Okay. Anyone else? Lastly, a little congratulations to the guy that's retiring at some point. It's an odd cycle this spring, but we'll all work together like we always do.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm crying.
Yeah. No crying on camera.
No crying on camera.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll see you on the 30th. 2 weeks. Thank you.